Tonight on WVUA 23 News at 10. The fight for Americans to get vaccinated might get more complicated as growing evidence suggests the need for a third dose. And the Alabama legislature passed a new bill to help expand internet access across the state. Find out how this bill can help you get connected.
And I'll have your full weekend forecast coming up next at 10.
This is WVUA 23 News at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Tamika Alexander. Two people are behind bars in connection to Tuesday's fatal shooting on Foster's Ferry Road. The Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit arrested 22-year-old Jayshawn Griffin and 17-year-old Johnny S. Wilson and charged them with capital murder and attempted murder. The offense is capital because the victim, 16-year-old Zorian Gray, was inside a vehicle when he was shot. Both men are being held with no bond. Wilson was out on bond for a previous murder he was charged with on June 28, 2020. Investigators say this case is still active and other persons of interest are being sought. Alabama Supreme Court cleared the way for the wrongful death lawsuit of Megan Rondini. The former University of Alabama student took her life in 2016 after she said she was raped at UA a few months prior. The court ruled today that a wrongful death suit filed by her parents was not barred by the fact that she took her own life. T.J. Bond Jr., the man accused of raping Rondini, could also face a suit in federal court. Bond has not been charged with a crime in connection with this case. The Alabama legislature passed a bill to honor late Congressman John Lewis. The bill will rename the Edmund Pettus Bridge and a portion of Alabama Highway 8 to John Lewis Memorial Highway. This bridge was the site of Bloody Sunday, where the late congressman led a peaceful protest that ended in violence. Lewis passed in July of last year. The bill moves to the desk of Governor Ivey and must be signed by her before any official changes are made. The Alabama legislature also passed a bill to expand broadband access to Alabamians. The Connect Alabama Act creates the Alabama Digital Expansion Authority, which will work to expand internet access to rural and underserved areas across the state. It will also create a grant program to help further expand network access. Alabama is currently ranked 47th in the nation for broadband connectivity. The bill now lands on the desk of Governor Ivey for her final stamp of approval. Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox met with the City Council today to reveal his 12-month policy agenda. The mayor began the interview saying this is the decade Tuscaloosa can become one of the best cities in the U.S. The policy meeting was also an opportunity for Maddox to share his ideas with the newly elected council members. Mayor Maddox also discussed the issues of violent criminals, such as those in the Foster Ferries case, committing more crimes while out on bail.
Let's face it, one of the suspects in this case was out on bond for charges for both murder and attempted murder. Now, what the hell is somebody doing out? I mean, this is what we're dealing with.
Newly elected council members officially take office May 17th. Two well-known community leaders and their families were recognized today by a local nonprofit. The Black Warrior Council of the Boy Scouts of America held their annual Circle of Honor Award Luncheon and honored the late Tom Joyner and James Harrison Jr. for their contributions to the community and scouting. Black Warrior Council CEO Bill Gosselin says it was great to see the community's support.
And our room is packed. People are coming out to support the Joyner and Harrison families for honoring them and their patriarchs, and then also supporting scouting locally. So we're grateful for the community's involvement, willingness to give to scouting, and we're excited about what the year holds for us.
Meanwhile, the annual Woodstock Musical Festival returns to Holiday Raceway in Woodstock tomorrow. And this year, the festival is also celebrating the 25th anniversary of the town of Woodstock. There will be lots of food and fun and, of course, music along with local talent. This year's event will be headlined by well-known country trailblazer Colt Ford. Woodstock Mayor Jeff Dotson says it will be a great time for all, especially musicians and vendors.
even the musicians, I mean, because of COVID, hadn't been able to play. There's some getting, this is going to be the first event they've played since COVID, and so they're excited, and everybody's wanting to bring their best because they're excited and they're ready to go. And same way with vendors and the facility itself.
And back here in Tuscaloosa, the city wants to remember all the lives lost during the COVID-19 pandemic and recognize local healthcare and other essential workers. This weekend, they will host light memorials at Government Plaza. This event will take place Saturday and Sunday evenings. It's a come and go event to be used as a time of reflection and remembrance. They're also asking people to send any pictures, poems, or words of recognition to honor those lost or impacted to Tuscaloosa Light Memorial at gmail.com. Let's check on how our state is doing with COVID-19 numbers. The Alabama Department of Public Health is reporting 409,937 confirmed cases. 2.6 million vaccine doses have been administered so far. State hospitals report treating 374 COVID-positive inpatients today. Since last March, 8,640 Alabamians have died due to the virus, and more than 338,000 people have recovered. Here are the case numbers the Alabama Department of Public Health has reported on Fridays in the last month. About 1,400 new cases have come in over the last week. The weekly increases have fluctuated throughout the month of April, but always stayed below 2,000. There's emerging evidence that people not only need 2 full doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, but eventually maybe a third. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Across the U.S., COVID-19 vaccine eagerness continues to level off. The average daily pace of doses reported to be given is down 20% from last week. But top U.S. health officials are working toward a goal of getting 70% of Americans at least 1 dose by July 4th.
I think we're going to be able to do it, and I think it's by changing a little bit of the strategy.
Moving away from mass vaccination sites to walk-in vaccines at local pharmacies and mobile unit vaccinations. Meanwhile, more evidence that people not only need 2 full doses of the vaccine, but may eventually need a third to boost immunity.
One would expect that also immunized people at some point would have waning immune responses and need boosters.
According to Pfizer's chief medical officer, the latest data shows the company's COVID-19 vaccine is still 90% effective in preventing symptomatic disease 6 months after being fully vaccinated.
We will continue to monitor this in order to get an understanding about when and how often boosters are needed.
Vaccine maker Moderna said a booster shot for its coronavirus vaccine revs up the immune response against 2 worrying variants. A booster dose formulated specifically to match the variant first seen in South Africa was even more effective. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Turning to the weather, Jennifer Herbert joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Hey, Jennifer, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. We've made it to the weekend, and it looks like it's shaping up to be quite nice weather-wise. Currently, we're not seeing anything on radar, some ground clutter, but that means we're going to remain dry for the foreseeable future. We do have some rain moving over Arkansas at the moment, but that's going to stay to our north and not affect us here in central Alabama. Temperatures currently falling into the 50s and 40s overnight. Going to be quite cool, but tomorrow we'll reach 80, partly sunny, and it's shaping up to be a great weekend. Tamika?
All right, thanks, Jennifer. DCH is investing in the future of nursing. The DCH Foundation recently rewarded $14,000 in scholarships to high school seniors across West Alabama who are seeking careers in healthcare. 8 students from Tuscaloosa received scholarships along with students from Condell, Northport, Dothan, Gordo, and Moundville. If you would like to support scholarship initiatives like this, you can call 205-759-7349 to donate. And let's get the latest from Mars. Good news about the helicopter named Ingenuity, the little chopper that could continue to make space in aviation history. Ingenuity has completed the basic mission of proving that flight could be accomplished in the thin atmosphere of Mars. As you may recall, Tuscaloosa High School senior Veniza Rupani named the helicopter last year. The next phase of the Ingenuity's mission will demonstrate how far and high the helicopter can fly. Still ahead, the officers involved in the George Floyd murder may be facing more charges, this time on a federal level. Also, threats against Congress members are on the rise. Find out what D.C. officials say this trend is only going to rise. We are back after this. New federal charges have been filed in the death of George Floyd against 4 former Minneapolis police officers, accusing them of violating Floyd's civil rights. This comes after Derek Chauvin was found guilty for murder nearly 2 weeks ago. Meredith Wood has the latest.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin now facing new federal charges in George Floyd's death. The indictment accusing Chauvin of depriving Floyd of the right to be free from unreasonable seizure, which includes unreasonable use of force.
We don't want to see another person get murdered the same way that George Floyd lost his life.
3 other former officers that were on the scene of the detention of Floyd are now also facing federal charges on top of their state charges. 2 of the officers accused of not intervening to stop Chauvin's use of force, and all 4 are charged with not giving Floyd medical aid. Floyd family attorneys responding to the indictments in a statement saying, quote, "We are encouraged by these charges and eager to see continued justice in this historic case." Derek Chauvin is also facing new federal charges with civil rights violations in a 2017 incident against a 14-year-old. The newly unsealed indictment alleging Chauvin held the teen by the throat, striking them in the head multiple times with a flashlight. In that case, Chauvin allegedly also put his knee on the teenager's neck and upper back even after he was lying prone, handcuffed, and not resisting. The White House says the new indictments are a reminder of the need for police reform.
It's a reminder of the need to put police reform in place through our legislative process and put those reforms in place across the country.
I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
A trial date has been set for 3 men accused of killing a black jogger last year in Georgia. 25-year-old Ahmaud Aubrey was out for a run near Brunswick on February 23rd when he was chased down by 3 men and fatally shot. 2 of the men, Gregory and Travis McMichael, claims to be conducting a citizen's arrest, saying they acted in self-defense. A 3rd man, William Bryan Jr., who recorded the video of Aubrey's death, allegedly hit Aubrey with his truck after he joined the McMichaels in the chase. The Department of Homeland Security is no longer planning to expand a DNA collection program for immigration vetting. This reverses a Trump administration rule that was proposed in September. It would have removed age restrictions for biometrics collections. Also, it would have given DHS the authority to require this data for every immigration request. At the time, the agency said they needed the information to verify family relationships and root out fraud, but the Biden administration has withdrawn the proposal. According to U.S. Capitol Police, threats against members of Congress are up 107% compared to 2020. The department added that it is confident the number of cases will continue to rise. Capitol Police made those revelations today in a press release on security recommendations. Those recommendations were detailed in a 3rd preliminary report by the Capitol Police Inspector General.
I'll have your full details for your weekend forecast coming up next.